Hello, dog and podcast people. Up ahead is another episode of the Rocker Dog Podcast, the show that talks to musicians about how awesome dogs are. I'm your host, Tim Dill, consulted by my awesome dog, Charlie, and today we welcome bassist Paolo Gregolletto of Trivium, whose Goblins and Wizards tour heads to Europe in August, and these are his bonded pair of rocker dogs.
Well, mine is a little man named Mochi. He's like a very random mix. He's like a Chihuahua. He's a little bit of a Cocker Spaniel, maybe something else, but he's a rescue that we got, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago, but he's a really interesting dog. No dog I've ever been around or had. We had another dog that unfortunately she passed away about 6 months ago. Her name was Lady. She was like a Rottweiler mix. She was like the picturesque, perfect, like exactly what you expected, like the perfect dog, like everything, right. Super well trained. Mochi is like this kind of like, he's a interesting character. He's kind of does his own thing. He kind of doesn't do things that other dogs do and like to do, but he's like, our daughter loves him. And now I used to be his favorite. Now he's like more like, okay, I like this little girl a little more.
Very nice. Well, that's great. I'd love to lump Lady into the whole conversation.
Yes.
I did look through both their Instagram and your Instagram, and you get such a sense that these two are a team, and Lady was, I think, one of your first dogs. So she's very much a part of what I want to learn about. So with that, where did you get Lady? How old
Lady? Lady was like, I think she was like 8. So my wife got her. She was another rescue dog. Basically, a friend of hers was coming to a party, found these 2 dogs like abandoned. They were probably like a couple weeks old at that point. So my wife, and this is way before we had met or anything, but she had gotten Lady, and she was like, I'm like gonna take her home. And she ended up raising her, like training her, teaching her all the stuff. Like I said, she's super, super well trained. So basically, Lady and my wife, Bianca, they were inseparable team for a long time. And then, once Bianca got done with the Air Force, she moved back home. And then we kind of met. And then that's how I was introduced to Lady. And like I said, that was like my first dog, like, that was mine, like that I had at my place. Like before, it was like there were family dogs. I always grew up around, like, when I would go back to Pennsylvania and visit family, my grandma, like, she loved like greyhounds. She had tons of them over the years. My cousin always had like boxers and like Great Danes and stuff. So I like was always around dogs, but I never had my own. I had cats. Also love cats too. So like it was amazing to have a dog and like to really be able to kind of like have this new experience with like having a dog. And it was, having a Mochi kind of join up with the group, it kind of was this sort of real dynamic that I never thought, because Lady was really independent. We weren't sure she would actually even like Mochi when they came over to kind of like introduce us, but she was like warmed up to him right away, let him do a lot of stuff that I was surprised, like going into certain things of hers that I didn't think she would be down with, but she really loved Mochi and kind of helped him to become like sort of a dog, like learn how to like walk, learn how to do all these things. Cause he was like, whatever he came from, he was in a really like, basically got rescued from like a kill shelter, all that kind of stuff. Like we got him from a real amazing rescue up in Chicago that like focuses on that sort of stuff. So he was really skittish and like didn't make any noise for like 2 weeks. So she helped kind of bring a lot of life out of him and turn him into a whole different dog.
That's great. What was the impetus for getting Mochi in the first place?
I think a friend of Bianca's sent this photo of him, and he was like I said, he's like a really like such a weird mix of a dog. Like you can see the Chihuahua in him, but he has these like really long legs from like the other things within his mix. And he's just a really funny looking, silly, like the way he moves, like everything's like, it was just really funny. We were just always laughing every time we saw the picture. And we're like, we got to get this dog. He's just so silly, and like he looks like so cute. And that was really it. I I just like everything, like you don't think you're gonna get another dog, and then you're like, okay, we're getting another dog now, and just like one of those things where we were just like, okay, we're doing it, and thankfully, Lady let us have another dog, and that's it. We were a two dog family for a bit, and it was awesome, like just having that combo and watching them play, watching Lady try to get him to kind of zoom around, and him just being like, I can't, I'm not that kind of dog.
They seem to be. I mean, they seem to get along really well. Just again,
Yeah,
judging by pictures
yeah.
on Instagram, but they seem to be a real team.
Yeah, they really were. And I mean, man, up until the end, like Lady and Mochi, inseparable. Mochi just really just always up in her space, and she would let him like lay on top of her and stuff like that. And they bonded very deeply. It was really sad having to let Lady go, but Mochi got to be there, and I was really happy with that. That was basically like all I cared about was making sure they were together at the end there, and that was
Yeah,
really important.
yeah. Well, let's talk about that in a little bit. Let's get to know these guys personality wise and so on and so forth. The name Mochi, what was that? The given name from the shelter, or
Yeah.
did you guys give it to her?
Yeah, that was actually the name they gave him, and we really liked it. I think we had just done like the year before, we had did a little vacation in Japan, and I just loved all the little dogs that they have over there, and
Hmm.
it kind of was like a good name that I was like, man, this is actually a really good name for a dog, and it fit him really well. And so we decided to keep it, actually.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that because I know people change the name all the time, and I feel like
Yeah.
isn't it a setback? Doesn't that like have the dog have to
Yeah.
learn a whole new,
Yeah. I mean, who knows what he's probably had a couple names at this
Yeah,
point, and
true.
and our daughter has called him so many different things at this point that we're calling him now. So I think he's just kind of rolls with it.
Well, I picked out two nicknames that you had posted. One was Radar Boy for Mochi.
Oh, that was probably Bianca maybe posting that. I'm
Okay.
kind of curious what that would have been.
I thought maybe he's just always if there's food out or whatever, he probably
Oh
always
yeah.
has like
Yes.
because that was another quote somebody mentioned he's a little hog that loves food, loves to eat.
Yes, yes. He really is obsessed with eating beyond just like the normal dogs. He's like a real life Roomba vacuum, He just stays under our daughter and just eats the scraps. It's great. They both did that. But Mochi was like, I've never seen a dog eat as fast as him. He really just kind of swallows everything. We had to get a lot of his teeth actually out last year. So he still has a couple, but like, he's getting that sort of like small dog mouth thing with like when they start losing some teeth. But
Okay.
it didn't like I thought I was like, okay, we're gonna have to give him soft stuff, but he is adapted. Like he just somehow can just scarf stuff down like so fast. It's really snake like in a lot of ways.
That's too funny. What was the cause of that? Do you know?
So when we got him, he had a lot of like they had to do some dental work. He had a lot of just stuff from like just being neglected
Hmm.
with him. So that was sort of like we knew we were getting into a dog that was going to maybe have some issues with that stuff, but it was good for a bit. And then I noticed the one day before I went on tour, which that seems to be when all these things happen, sort of like a loose tooth. I was like, okay, that's not good. That this is going to have to be addressed. And one tooth became 15,
Oh my
and
gosh.
we had to you have to do the full like put him under. They have to
Yeah.
do the extractions. They basically call you while he's under and like, hey, he's got this many that need to be pulled out. What do you want to do? Of course, gotta fix it. Can't let this go. So yeah, that was basically it. Kind of crazy. I didn't think I didn't realize how many teeth dogs had until he got that many out, and then he still somehow had them in there. So he's been very lucky, but he's had two when we first got him, and then this when he's had to had some extractions done. But got to do it for their health and keep him good.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see he adapted well. Also, Lady had the name Thrash Baby.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was for basically any blanket, toy, anything like that. She would, or if she could try to get a squirrel or something, she would thrash them with her crazy neck and jaw. And
Nice.
yeah, she would rip up a lot of things. Not like scratching stuff up, but like she would have a favorite blanket or something that she would work on and dig or rip like little holes through and stuff. And that was kind of her her thing. She liked to like suck on blankets too. We think that's because like she was taken from her mother so early on. So she was like that was a big thing for her, was always having a blanket to kind of suck on, kind of chill out.
Too funny. Are they both, were you living in Chicago at the time when they both came into
Yeah.
your,
Yeah,
okay.
we were both in Chicago, or both of them were in Chicago with us when first when I met Lady, and then when we got Mochi, and then in 2020 we moved back, or I moved back down to Florida. But we moved down here to kind of be a little closer to the band and all that stuff.
Hmm. How was it for the dogs going from, I mean, I guess I was thinking they're going from winter to summer,
Yeah.
but I mean, Chicago has brutal summers just as well.
Yeah.
But could you see a change in any of the dogs?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Lady was kind of like resilient to anything. She loved like basically she was born and kind of raised in Georgia, but then moved up to Chicago. It loved snow, loved hiking, was like super outdoor, super active, athletic dog. So she kind of was like good anywhere. Mochi was definitely the big change because even though he was from Chicago, he hated city life. He didn't like the loud noises. Even though we weren't right in the downtown, like it's still very loud and the L going by and all that stuff. He didn't like that. He hates cold weather so much because he's a small dog. But we
Yeah.
got to Florida and it was like, oh man, this is what I've been waiting for. And he just totally turned into a totally different dog, active wise and everything. He loves it. He loves the heat. He likes to bask in the sun. So
That's great.
it was a good move for him.
And how about introducing your daughter into the scene? Obviously, they were there
Oh
when
yeah.
she was born. What was that transition like?
I mean, brought her home and Mochi was like loved her, was like crying, trying to get to her. Lady was interested, but not super like I think like she was kind of respecting her space a little bit, wasn't really sure yet. But as she kind of got older, I felt like they bonded a lot more and our daughter really loved Lady like immediately. Like she
Hmm.
liked Mochi, but like she loved Lady. I think it's just because she was such a big dog and she could kind of see a lot more with like what she was doing and just like Lady running around and zooming or like grabbing bubbles. She used to love that. So I think it's great because now I can tell just her love for like animals and dogs is like there. The biggest thing
Hmm.
is just making sure she knows that not every dog is our dogs. Don't touch
Right.
their face, don't like go up and if you don't know them, that kind of thing. But we've been very good to kind of teach her how to like be respectful with the dog and be soft with them, pet them. But it's just like, now her and Mochi are like I said, super inseparable. Every time we come home, like, he's like crying like for her. And then like she'll be like, oh, like Mochi, I miss you, our little man, like that kind of stuff. So it's really, really cute to see that sort of relationship evolving.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I can't tell you how many times, doing this show and looking at musicians' social feeds and seeing a post about can't wait to get home
Oh
to be
yeah.
with my dog. And that's you've got I've got a quote from you that says, "Can't wait to see my sweet man in a few days." And I just want to ask, I know your wife and child take precedent, but what is it about the dog that gets the call out? Do they just
Yeah.
exemplify the comforts of home?
Yeah, I think like it's like different because you can't talk to them on FaceTime. I mean, at least
Right.
I've not experienced animals like understanding the concept that like talking to them on there, or if they hear your voice, like if it resonates the same way that like being with them does. So it's like different, whereas like you can talk to your family, you can talk to like other humans on there, and it's like, yeah, it's not the same as being there, but you're communicating, you know each other, you see each other. But like
Hmm.
animals, they don't have that. So it's like they don't know you're coming back until you're there. And so like all that time away, it's like, they've not seen you and you've not been able to communicate with them in any way. So it's just special to like come home when you have like a dog or any animal that you love being there.
Yeah. Do you get a hero's welcome?
Yeah, I definitely the last two times I've come home, it's been like later, and I feel like I've caught him when he was sleeping, or Like I remember the one night he kind of came out of my daughter's room because now he stays in there at night mostly, and he kind of like came out. You could tell he was groggy, half asleep. Kind of gave me like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he went back in. So it really just kind of depends. But no, he loses his mind. Like when we go to like Disney or something for the day and come back, and it's been a couple hours, he goes like crazy, like zooms around, jumps on the table, just goes crazy. The other day we had gotten back from a trip to Chicago. He hadn't seen us in like 7 days, and he got so like wound up. He like jumped at our daughter like and just like pushed her over because he was just so excited to see her.
Yeah, I'm seeing that from my dog, funny enough. What about Lady? There was a post that said Lady screams when
Oh
you
yeah.
get back from a trip.
Oh yeah, yeah. She was always very excited. Just again zooming around and just loved, when I would come back or when Bianca would come back or any of us would just walk through that door. She was just very, very excited. She was a very sweet, sweet dog, and like I feel like everyone that got to meet her always said that because she would always kind of ham it up a lot and just really be so sweet and like jump in your lap, kind of for the size of dog she was, jumping in your lap and just like really showing a lot of love. But yeah, she was a great one, great dog.
How big was she? I know you mentioned once she was 51 pounds, but I think that was early
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, she wasn't like a full size Rottweiler because if she would have jumped on me, that would have hurt. But
Yeah.
she was like a big dog too. I feel like she was one of those dogs where like if you don't know her, she would be kind of intimidating because she had the Rottweiler look and again very protective, especially of Bianca
Hmm.
and my daughter. So like was very alert with stuff like walking and stuff like that. But like if you got to know her, if you were in her like comfort zone and stuff, she was like a sweet, sweet dog.
Yeah. By pictures alone, she's such a beautiful dog. And you
Yeah.
could tell, you can really see that sweetness come through. Who watches your dogs when you guys are away? It sounds like you're just because I know you go away on tour and your wife will be
Yeah.
home, but when you're going on a family trip, who do you trust with your
Yeah.
dogs?
So basically, this last trip, my parents came up to visit and then watch him and then visit a little bit after we got back. And then I think we're doing a trip later this year overseas. And so it's kind of the reverse. Like her mom's going to come down and we're going to go. So it's just kind of like so far, really the only people we've trusted with it are been our immediate family, like parents and stuff like that. And I would say family would be probably it because I don't think we'd ever. I mean, unless there was like some emergency type situation, I don't think we'd board him or anything like that because he likes being here. He's like chill, and if we could make it work where he doesn't have to go anywhere else, that would be the ideal situation.
Yeah. And there's no reason they've never gone on the road with you at any point.
No, no, no. I wouldn't
What
bring him
about
out.
rehearsals? I noticed did you guys build
Yeah,
a hangar
yeah.
in
We have our
your
hangar
house?
space,
That
and
looks awesome.
thank you. I think we brought Lady and Mochi there before, but never for like rehearsals and stuff. The only way I could see that is if for some reason like we were able to have like if like my wife and stuff was out there, I could kind of keep him away from the
Yeah.
sound and stuff like that. But not normally. And same thing with like being on tour and stuff. I would never. It would definitely not a place for like a dog to kind of be able to be relaxed and chill. And we back in the day when Matt still had his dog Muki, they would bring her out to like a show in town, maybe to kind of
Hmm.
visit and stuff like that. And I could see maybe depending on the venue or something like that, we could maybe do. But again, it's like I think animals love their homes and they're just so comfortable. It's nice to just kind of keep them in their chill place and know that they're safe and happy.
Yeah, for sure. Now, without getting into too much detail, what happened to Lady? From what I gathered from your
Yeah.
post, so you guys there was a tumor. Was
Yes.
that something that was discovered
It was
as a
very
long-term
random.
thing, or
No, no, no. It was kind of it was a real stressful couple weeks because I was on tour. It was like one of the last dates with Maiden, and then we were going to start our headlining tour. So basically, I was on the other side of the country. We had a day off, San Francisco. I woke up the next day to my wife calling me, basically just really breaking down, like telling me that Lady had a seizure and it just didn't stop for like 40 minutes basically
oh my
straight.
God.
Took her to a place. So they took her in. It was an emergency place. On top of all of this, this was when that hurricane was coming. It was going to hit the next day, come through our area. So we kind of lucked out because we got her in, because if it would have happened during the hurricane, she would have died that day for sure.
Right.
So we got her in. And so like during the hurricane and stuff, I'm like calling the place like every hour just to kind of see, okay, how's she doing? Because they wouldn't release her until they got the seizures to stop like consistently. It had to be so many hours. So basically it was that. It was like, okay, it's probably going to be a tumor, because at her age, they don't just start like that. Like Mochi's had them before, but like it's kind of a small dog thing. And they're more like, we know that he's kind of had that stuff. Whereas like she never had anything like that. She was always super healthy. So it was basically 6-7 days just to get her out of there. And it was like, we set up a thing with the specialist, and I honestly probably knew at that point it was going to be something like that, but just for like closure and just to make sure we did everything, we got all the tests that we could get done with the neurologist, came back, and unfortunately had the tumor just grew. It might have grown really quick too, they said. And it was like, really your only options are to make her comfortable and to put her down. Might not last so long at home. We can't guarantee anything. Or, to do it was like might have been like a surgery. I don't think they could do surgery, but like maybe a chemo type thing. But then it's like the quality of life was not going to be the same. And like, honestly, after all the seizures, we weren't sure she would ever be the same. So we decided we were going to try to do it when I was home for a day off after the Orlando show. Unfortunately, a day or two before, she had another seizure, and they're like, if she has another one with all the medicine we've given her, then it's not going to be much longer. And so we moved up we did the home, the at home, like
euthanasia.
Yeah. Is it lap of love or like one of those things, like
a service.
Yeah, one of the services. Like we had it scheduled, and we're like, hey, can we move it up? We did, and we were able to do it at home. Like I said, with Mochi was there. It was very, very sad. And I'm like, the only thing that sucks for me is that I wasn't able to be there with her. So I didn't get to see her. My last time seeing her was leaving for tour. So like that was unfortunately just, the timing and everything was just really crazy. But I was like adamant that to get her home, get her comfortable, not to put her down because she hated the doctor. I was like, we're going to not do that. So like, if I can at least get her home and comfortable, and she had like another 10 days at home after getting out of that. So she got to like, go on walks. She got to eat whatever she wanted, and like got to play in the yard, and, little bits of like the old lady were still there. She was getting more tired and, all that kind of stuff. But like, it was like the little things were there. And even the day that she passed, she was still kind of like playing and doing stuff. So it was like, worked out as good as it was going to work out, and it's just like, that's how it is sometimes, especially with what we do, touring. There's just certain things like, that stuff happens, and unless it's like family, human family, like immediate family, like I'm not leaving the tour, unfortunately. So it was a real sad day, but I got to like talk to her on the phone a little bit, at least hopefully my voice, resonated and did something for her. But it was as good as it was going to be. And we were really happy that was how it ended. And we got a nice little place for her ashes up on our wall here. And so we definitely feel that like hole, in our hearts for her. But
for sure.
It was amazing to have her, and we loved her a lot.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for everyone involved. And thank you for sharing it. Oddly, you answered my follow-up questions because I noticed that you did spoiler for the week, which, you love to see that. And I think the post said she got steak and treats.
Yeah. My original goals, like I was going to be home and like I wanted to cook all these different things, but my, kind of plan B, once I found out, because again, it was like coming into a day off, and there was maybe a window where if I would have known, I could have got home maybe this day before from Chicago, because we played there. We were going to have a day off in Nashville, then a show, and then we were going to be in Orlando. Now I was going to see her, but it was going to have to happen that day off. So I was in my bunk, and I'm like, okay, it's happening today. I just like ordered like as much stuff as I could think that she would eat from like Starbucks and got her like tons of like breakfast and like different treats and stuff, and like she ate it all, and I was like, okay, that was my plan B, because my other one was like I was gonna make all this food and stuff, and so sometimes you gotta roll with it, on the
Yeah,
fly.
for sure. Yeah, and I was going to ask if you did anything to memorialize her, and you mentioned, you do have her
Yeah.
cremated in a thing, and I noticed a fan did a nice piece of artwork
Yeah.
on
Oh
a
yeah, that
piece of
was
wood.
amazing. That was like a couple days after that happened, and we had a meet and greet, and a fan came up and gave me this incredible like wood sketch or carving she did, and then she painted it, and it incredible like job. Like, we wanted to get something made, and like I was like, man, this is incredible. Like, thank you so much. That was very thoughtful to even get me anything, but to actually make something was really, really amazing. And it's been nice. We've had some fans give me some real nice things to help to memorialize her, and just, all the people and like meet and greets. Or even to this day, I still have people like kind of being like, so sorry for your
Yeah.
loss of Lady. And it's, we share a lot. I try not to share too much like family stuff online, but like
Hmm.
dogs and stuff I've and animals I've always shared, so people kind of get attached to the animals that we post. And it's definitely different when it's not your animal. But we all, anytime I see like another guy or girl or woman in a band and they lose an animal, I'm like, I know that feeling, because like you don't get the consistency at home, especially if you tour a lot like we do, with your animal. And it's like, it's always such a treat to come home to them. This was kind of the worst case scenario for me, is like I didn't get to come home to Lady that last time, but I'm happy that I got all that 4 or 5 years basically with her
Yeah.
um before that. So it was like I definitely, anytime that happens and I see it, I'm like, oh man, I know exactly how you're feeling, and it sucks. And I've had it happen with a couple of my cats. I couldn't get down to see my like one of my childhood cats because of the same stuff. It was either touring or I think it might have even been the pandemic. I couldn't get down. So it was just
Right.
like, those things happen, and it sucks. It's like such a kick in the stomach.
Yeah, for
First
sure.
for a Lady, it was like to hear about it, to go through it, and the stress of everything and not being there. And then unfortunately the final part, but after there's sort of a relief. After that, it's just really remembering the fun times, and that sort of the pain of it in the moment kind of starts to at least recede a little bit.
Hmm.
And then you just can kind of have the memories and stuff like that. And that having Mochi still is, it's kind of like having that link to her, because it's like we brought Mochi in, and Lady was such a great example for him. And so it's nice to have that piece still
Yeah.
there, that connection.
Now, any thoughts of a second dog for Mochi?
Um, at the moment, I don't think so. Because with just like having now coming up to almost 2 years old, a daughter, and I think possibly another child in the future. I think we'll
Hmm.
probably stick with just keeping Mochi happy and healthy for as long as we can. I'm definitely like, down the line, I would love more animals again. I know my wife Bianca is not so sure, but I was like, I always say the same thing every time I've had an animal pass, and I'm like, I'll never do that again. And then it's like, okay, I want another animal. And I like to just to be able to have like an animal to kind of like take care of and like to give them the best life. I mean, that's such a great honor as a human to be able to do for, a dog or a cat or whoever,
Yeah.
whatever animal you got. And
Yeah.
I feel like now with Eva, our daughter, I think she's gonna love dogs and animals because of these two. So I'm like, I'm sure in the future it'll be like, once Mochi's passed on, like she'll want another animal, I'm sure, and I'm probably another dog. So I could see it in the future, but it might be a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Bring it on. I say, bring it on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll wind up the show on a higher note. I have a thing called the Zoomies, which is 5 hard-hitting questions. I'm being facetious. The first question is, do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
I avoid that. I give them the kisses on the head, but no no kisses on the mouth, especially not Mochi. He's got
Yeah, I
some
saw Mochi's
rotten.
video where
He's
he
got
doesn't seem
a
to be accepting of those.
no. He won't let me, and I do not want the kisses, the caca kisses.
Okay, question two. Given your occupation, have either of them licked anyone famous or another well-known musician?
Probably just could just say only within the band. So ladies
Okay.
definitely probably got snuck a couple licks of the other guys in the band.
Okay. And question three, I know they don't tour with you, but if they were to tour with you, we'll use Mochi. If Mochi were to tour with you, what would he insist be on the rider?
Ooh. Man, just endless amount of treats. Greenies, any kind of treat, any food really. He'll eat it all. So he would be fine with our rider, I think, and I'm sure he would eat more than his share.
Okay. Has he ever had a food issue? He ever gotten into something that didn't agree with him or
Well,
needed attention?
he's no, thankfully nothing that's needed attention. He definitely eats some questionable things outside. We've caught him with some grasshoppers in his mouth.
Right, right.
And I honestly don't even want to know what he's eating out there. So anything that he's eating inside is probably nothing compared to whatever he's found in our yard.
Now, I've had this question with dog owners in New York, but walking your dogs in Chicago, I don't know where
Yeah.
actually you live, but was it,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in New York, like, you don't know what's on the street. It's,
Oh yeah.
you got to have your head, on a swivel. Is that a similar situation in Chicago?
Yeah, we had one time when lady picked up she snuck a chicken bone, like a chicken wing bone into her mouth, and like anytime she would get something in her mouth she knew she wasn't supposed to, you could just tell that look. And it was really tough. It was tough to get her mouth open, and like in general for anything, but to get that out was like a struggle. So same kind of situation. I mean, even here, but I mean, yeah, Chicago, you're just kind of like there's always trash somewhere. You're not looking, and the dogs are just so good at finding that
Yeah,
stuff. And
they'll find
I
it.
feel like here it's more like some weird frog or something. That's what I'm always like afraid of with Mochi, because he like doesn't show interest in some things, and then out of nowhere it'll be like, oh, I got this thing in my mouth, and now we got to deal with that. And well, we're gonna see what happens now.
Nice. All right, question four. Do you use a dog voice to speak to your dogs or give them a dog
Hmm.
voice, like personify them, speak for them, give them a personality?
I mean, definitely. I'm trying to think. I mean, I definitely do weird voices with Mochi, and just that's been a long time thing for me with animals, and just definitely always been childlike with all animals and these dogs included.
Yeah,
That's never changed.
as you should be.
Yes.
And last question, is there a dog organization that you'd like to shout out? It could be a rescue, it could be a
Yes.
walker, it could be a whatever you want.
Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, it was
I know you had a couple of posts that
yeah.
mentioned
If you look
MCP rescue.
yes, that's them. They were the ones we rescued Mochi from, and they do some like real like crazy work with like the most at risk like kill shelter type dogs. They don't take in like just the random kind of thing. It's always been the most extreme situation. I mean, I saw the video when they got Mochi, and it was really heartbreaking to see how scared he was. He wouldn't come out of the cage. They had to like basically turn it upside down to get him out. And, they really helped to kind of bring these dogs back from the brink. And he was not the nearly the most extreme I've seen. We still give them money and stuff for some of the dogs they have come in that need like thousands of dollars
Right.
of treatments and work, and no guarantee they'll even get past that point. And they've done some real miracles for these animals, so have to definitely give them a shout out. They're doing stuff I definitely couldn't do. Just taking in Mochi was our little part, but I mean they do this stuff like every day. They go out of the state. I think they may even gone out of the country to save some dogs. So it's really the people that kind of do that stuff are really living, incredible lives and doing things that, I think most of us would have trouble doing. So I really thankful for people like that out there helping these dogs.
Yeah, me as well. It's funny, just this week I've been reading up about compassion fatigue,
Yeah.
where, you are doing this, whether it's for animals or whether it's for the homeless,
Yeah.
it's hard to when it never stops, it's hard.
Yeah,
So, hats off to all these people who really put in the effort, because
Oh,
it is,
yeah.
sometimes it's a thankless job. And,
Yeah, for sure.
I asked that question just to, give them thanks. So thank you for that. Anything coming up, as we head to the end of the
Yeah.
summer?
Really, the only thing that's coming up is our last little bit of touring for this double record cycle that we've been on. I mean, really, I just was just thinking about it. I'm like, I basically started this tour cycle with Metal Tour of the Year was I think we started in late August, early September of 2021. I just had a newborn, and now I have this almost 2-year-old. And I was like, wow, man, this is a big chunk of our life we just lived. And we had 2 records that came out, in a 2-3 year span. And it's just been a whirlwind of touring, going from nothing to the most intense touring we've done since we were in a van. So yeah, we're coming up to the end of it. And it's good. Not the final, not Kiss style, the end of it. But we are, we got a little bit of touring to do over in Europe, in the UK, and then we're kind of closing up shop on tour and opening up the shop in the studio, and that's going to take a little bit. We actually have to build the studio in our hangar, so that's the first thing we got to do. We got a little bit of construction, and then we will make the record at some point. And but we got to get some rest. And I think we're all due a little bit of R&R outside of the in between tours, because that this last little break, it's each break has been 2-3 weeks, and it's just not enough, and we need more.
Yeah. Well, again, if you go to your Instagram, you're everywhere.
Oh yeah.
You're in every country, in every part, every state, every country. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot, and we're very lucky that we can do this kind of thing, because we've been able to tour the world so much, and the last 2 years we've been to a lot of new places, which is, can't even believe we can still do that. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Paolo, thank you so much for giving me your time and taking me through your dogs. And
Appreciate
I have
it.
to say, Lady and Mochi, their Instagram page is joyous. It makes me laugh every time I go there and look through it.
So yeah, they're great dogs. I miss Lady a ton, and we're just giving Mochi the best life he could have. He's living it up in Florida. He's a true Florida dog, even though he wasn't born here.
Good for him. He deserves it. Well, thank you again, and best of luck with everything that comes your way.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Take care.
You too. All right. All right. Thank you, Paolo Gregolletto, for sharing your dog experiences of love and loss with us. You can follow Lady and Mochi on Instagram at Lady and Mochi, and it's well worth the effort. The organization Paolo chose to shout out is MCP Rescue, a Chicago-based animal rescue that finds forever homes for the overlooked, abused, neglected, in need, and at-risk dogs. They believe in quality over quantity and concentrate on rescuing true underdogs and the harder to adopt, whether they're pit bull type dogs, extra large breeds, bonded pairs, seniors, major medical, or hospice. To adopt, foster, volunteer, or donate, visit mcprescue.org. Thanks as always for tuning in, especially if you've made it this far. We'd love to hear from you and take your suggestions on guests for the show, so drop us a note on our Instagram page at Rocker Dog Podcast. And please join us again next week to hear from an up-and-coming singer-songwriter who hails from Syracuse, New York, but now operates out of Philly, so subscribe to the show so you don't miss it. Okay, until then, I'll be hugging my air conditioner like I'm sure the rest of you are. We'll see you later.